Letters to Lisa, Recording 7, Compilation 2. Jelly Babies. This letter. Oh, what do you want now, Dougal? No, I've just taken you out. Can't need to go again. Please, I've just made a tea. Just please wait just 10 minutes, okay? We'll go out after I've recorded. Good boy. Oh, it's still... Oh, sorry about that. Oh, Dougal, won't you let me alone? Oh, I wish I knew how to edit this thing. How can you tape over the... Oh, well, it will just have to stay in. Where was I? Oh, this letter. Dougal, I won't tell you again. This letter I actually found in my back garden. I don't know how these people seem to know my address so well, that I was weeding and realised that my lovely old rosebush was dead. Nothing I could do to save it. I had to dig it all up, which was a tough job. It took 2 days. Dougal did help me. Poor boy. He cut his paw on a thorn. Bless him. Yes, I'm talking about you. I was pulling up a particularly stubborn clump of roots. It barely budged. Putting my back to it, I eventually got it to loosen. I realised it was attached to something. Clearing the earth around it, I found it was clutching a small box. Well, it's surprising that the box was still intact. It's constructed of leather and metal, but I think it's the roots that have kept it from falling apart. Inside this old thing was a yo-yo, a paper bag of jelly babies, which I have to say have certainly seen better days. I don't even think I can give them to Dougal. That's how decrepit these jellies old people are. There is also a box of matches and a test tube. Inside the test tube was this small letter. When I popped the cork out of the test tube to inspect it, I was hit with some incense perfume, surprisingly pleasant. I mean, I had expected it to smell atrocious due to the other items in the box. I think it was rose-scented, as though someone had sprayed the letter before bottling it. I've not opened it yet. Haven't had time to do my once-over pre-recording. Very strange. However, maybe the letter brings light to why it is here. Dear Lisa, thank you for helping out last summer. I know that normally I can handle these incidents by myself, but the Jabricans backed me into a corner and I didn't know anyone better to ask for help. I need your help again, although for nothing as life-threatening this time, but something I hold as dear as life itself. I would do it myself, but I might be long gone before you read this. I need you to take the remaining contents of the box to Jeremy. You'll find him in room 24 at Squirrel Mansion on Sales Street. Please go and give him this before 16:30 on the 23rd of May. Yours, as if you didn't know already, Davis. Oh, what time is it? Oh, 14:30. Oh, shoot. Right, Squirrel Mansion? I think that's the old people's home. That's just up the hill. Oh, fine. Cold tea it is. Come on, Dougal. Let's go and deliver this. Short letter today. Oh. Oh, and that's off then now. Right, so I thought that this letter was over, but I think I need to add what has happened. I should have taken something to record. I think I've got a dictaphone somewhere. I should have bought that. God, I wish I had now. Essentially, when I got to Squirrel Mansion, this polite young girl led me to room 24. I think she thought I was a relative of some kind to the man who we found in there. He was fairly happy to see me. In fact, he seemed shocked. I smiled at him and handed him the box with the items and let her in without saying a word. I must have seemed impatient, as I had tied Dougal up outside, and knowing him, he'd soon be letting people know what a terrible owner I was, leaving him to sit in the shade comfortably. The old man opened the box, and his smile dropped. This was not expected. "That bastard!" he stated out loud, not to me specifically, but it did feel somewhat personal. "Sorry, lovey, he's only left the yellow and green ones." It took a moment for me to realise he was referring to the jelly babies. Before I could stop him, he popped 3 into his mouth, sighing happily until he coughed a wrenching cough. "I'm not sure they're going to be that edible. I mean, they've been buried in my garden for what I assume is years, maybe even decades." He seemed confused. I hadn't quite realised how odd it sounded, as the letters are just sort of part of my life now. I often forget how strange they are to other people. I explained the whole rosebush box debacle. He seemed confused by the rosebush, but nothing else. He looked at me in a new light, though. "You're Lisa, huh? How do you do it? You look better than you did 30 years ago." "Oh, you can go now. I only really wanted the jelly babies." He waved me away before popping another melted grouping of jelly babies into his gob. "But, how do you know me?" He did not respond, just stared out of the window. "Oh, Jeremy, please, I brought you the jelly beans. I don't know who you are, but what's this all about?" He sighed, clearly annoyed by me. "I'm tired. Come back later," he mumbled through the gummy substance. It was specified that I had to be here now. Surely that means that there's not much time left for... I broke off, not wanting to clarify the obvious conclusion. He stared at me glumly. "Before I die?" he asked grimly. "Well, I don't know. It just seems rather specific." "Hate to disappoint you, but I'm not." He smiled, letting pieces of the yellow confectionery drip from his face onto the floor. He watched me expectantly. "Davies sent me," I offered, hoping this would elicit a response. He gulped and looked back into the box. This seemed to shake him. He took a moment to pick up the yo-yo and socially gulped back a sob. He seemed to forget I was there for a moment. When he remembered my existence, he took out his phone and handed it to me. It displayed a picture of a blurry old photo showing what appeared to be myself, with what could possibly be a younger Jeremy and another man. "That's Davies, your bestie. Did he send you an invite?" "No. What invite?" I was still reeling somewhat from the picture. It looked a lot like me, but something wasn't right. Firstly, I wasn't that old then, and secondly, something was off. I couldn't pinpoint it, but it wasn't exactly me. "Good. Davies knows I want it to be a small ceremony." Jeremy had finished all but one of the jelly babies and began looking frantically through his wardrobe, wheezing. "Ceremony? Should I go and get someone? I think you might need to sit back down." "Need to find my tux. If we're going to have the whole wedding, I'm going to need to look as best as I can." There was a loud knock at the door, throwing all the confusion into silence. We looked at each other, frozen for a moment, before I let out a weak, "Come in." Jeremy seemed immediately annoyed, but his face lit up when another old man shuffled into the room. "Liza, my sweetheart, how are you?" The old man shrieked at me, startling me. "Davies, she bought me the jelly babies." "I knew it! I told you!" Yes. Well done, you win." Davies did a little dance, clearly excited about it. "Well, where is it?" David seemed smug. Jeremy grabbed my arm and bent down. He cracked the yo-yo and pulled out a gold ring, which he held up to Davies. "Davies Wakefield, will you marry me?" Davis shrieked again, running with what speed he could muster over Jeremy, kissing him gently on the head before helping the man get back onto his feet. "Well, you didn't answer me." "Oh, of course I will, you dolt!" Davis beamed. Still deeply confused, I left the elderly gentlemen to their privacy. On the way out, a nurse informed me that they were their resident couple and had only lived round the block for most of their lives. Apparently, they had lived in my house. This house. Very peculiar. Somehow they know me. I will go to their wedding, and hopefully they can tell me more about how I supposedly knew them. Oh, this is very exciting, as it's finally a lead. Something I can find out more about these letters from. That was Letters to Lisa, Recording 7, Compilation 2, Jelly Babies. Written by Phoebe Critchlow. Read by Caroline Lawrie.